What have I gotten myself into?
Alright, here's what I've gotten myself into. Last week, we ran into the excellent local birder Wilfredo Villalobos from Kabuya Birdwatching. And as things happen, a couple of days later, I have my first ever pelagic trip set up. It's tomorrow, and I'm scared. Welcome back to Habiru Stories, your channel for everything even remotely related to birds. So here's what happened. We were doing an early morning of birding in Kabuya and were on our way to breakfast when a car stopped next to us. I didn't recognize him at first, but when he mentioned he was a birdwatcher, things clicked in my head. I'd seen this guy on pictures on his Facebook page. So we exchanged numbers, and this is roughly what happened afterwards.
What have I gotten myself into?
Birds on land are one thing. You learn the field marks, learn the calls, learn the habitat, and you're good. Sure, some can be tricky, especially those pesky New World flycatchers, but you learn to be honest with yourself, and if you don't know what a bird is, you don't know. No biggie. Shorebirds are level 2. They're often far away, often in windy conditions, hunkering a little bit tough to see, but doable with the right equipment. And then you get to level 3, and it's full of gulls. They're evil masters of disguise, changing their plumage seemingly at will. True nightmares to identify. Then there's the final boss. Pelagic birds. First of all, they're out there. They're not perched nicely at a harbor on a rock at the beach. They're always out there. So you get on a boat, 6 hours rocking boat ride, you try to find the bird through a binocular that you've only ever seen in a field guide. It's not easy. So I'm studying, and that's where the quiz comes in. Wilfredo kept sending me pictures of obscure pelagic birds he had found on his many previous boat trips. A Tahiti Petrel that didn't seem to match anything in our field guides. It's not in there. Neither were many of the other birds he sent over the next hours, and it took me good time to piece together what I was looking at. Scouring Cornell University's websites and distribution maps, looking at pictures and illustrations. But even the range maps were useless. Some of these birds weren't even supposed to be here. But let's take a step back and ask the obvious question. What am I even talking about? Pelagic birds, you might ask? What's that? The word pelagic comes from the Greek pelagos, referring to the high seas. These birds are not your typical gulls and terns and pelicans you might encounter while taking a walk on a beach. These birds are the true nomads of the ocean. They travel astonishing distances, they drink salt water, they're uniquely adapted to life at sea. Today we'll have a look at 10 families of pelagic birds, to give you an idea what they're all about. Okay, I'm starting off with the biggest crowd pleaser out there, the albatross. These majestic birds are made for flying. The wandering albatross has the biggest wingspan of all birds, helping them soar over large distances for hours without even having to flap their wings. Once they fledge, these beautiful creatures spend their lives at sea. Sometimes a year or more goes by before they touch land again. Albatrosses are long-lived birds. A Malaysian albatross named Wisdom was banded on the Midway atoll in 1956 and was still breeding at the age of 70 in 2021. Unfortunately, their reproductive rate is low, and their long lives and late breeding cannot compensate for the danger they find themselves in. Of the 22 species of albatross, 21 are listed with some level of concern. Water pollution, introduced predators, overfishing, longline fishing all pose serious threats to global albatross populations. For some species, such as the short-tailed albatross, it was the commercial harvesting of feathers that almost brought the birds to extinction. More than 1 kilogram of down was needed to fill a single futon, and only 10 to 20 grams could be taken from a single albatross. The math is terrifying. Calling this family the petrels and shearwaters isn't exactly precise, as there are almost 100 different species lumped together here. All these birds are characterized by their tubular noses with salt glands. Through these noses, excess salt is secreted. some of these birds never see fresh water in their lives, unless it's raining, so they drink ocean water. It's the same for albatrosses, by the way. But these noses are still noses, and while many land birds don't make much use of them, the tube noses in particular have an excellent sense of smell that allows them to locate prey from miles away. It's a little unfair to treat this bird and this bird in the same few sentences. And while modern taxonomy is a little bit complicated, the family can be broken down into 5 rather distinct groups. The Fulmarine petrels, including among others the giant petrels and the Fulmars. The gadfly petrels that pick up soft prey from the ocean surface with their short bills. The prions, or whalebirds, which are small petrels found in the Southern Ocean. The auk-like diving petrels, also found in the Southern Ocean. And the shearwaters, adapted for diving for prey and undertaking long trans-equatorial migrations. Let's have a quick look at 2 examples, the Northern Fulmar and the Manx shearwater. Northern Fulmars only superficially resemble gulls. A close look at the head reveals the characteristic tube nose. And note their stiff wings when they are flying. They enjoy cooler water and usually stick to the subarctic regions of the North Pacific and North Atlantic. When you see the Latin name of the Manx shearwater, 2 things come to mind. Number 1, wait, why is this thing called a puffin? And number 2, why does it have the same name twice? For number 1, the answer is rather morbid. The word puffin is actually an old word for the cured meat of nesting seabirds. So these guys were named after the food their chicks provided for the local population. So were the other puffins. And in a strange name shift, the original group of puffins became known as shearwater. A little kinder to them. To answer number 2, the Manx shearwater is what's called the type species of all shearwaters, essentially the representative of the whole group. Manx shearwaters breed in large colonies on small islands in the northern Atlantic Ocean. These colonies are left from July to March, when the birds migrate to the southern Atlantic. This journey can be as long as 10,000 kilometers. Like albatrosses, shearwaters are long-lived, and it is estimated that these birds fly over 8 million kilometers over their more than 50-year-long lives. These little fellows are the smallest of all seabirds, about the size of smaller thrushes, which doesn't keep them from spending their lives on the open ocean. They are mostly found in the northern hemisphere and can be very hard to find and even harder to correctly identify. While they are good swimmers and are often found in so-called rafts on the water, they feed by snatching up small morsels, hovering above or seemingly walking on the water. Like many other seabirds, they often associate with other species and marine mammals to help feed. For most of the 18 species of storm petrels, we know very little about their distribution and behavior at sea. Yes, I know. I said that seabirds are not like your typical gulls and terns that you find at the beach. And that's true. But as is usual in biology, there are exceptions to the rule. Take the Arctic tern, for instance, the bird that sees more sunlight than any other creature on the planet. It flies from its Arctic breeding grounds to the Antarctic and back again, every year. And they follow strange paths. A fledgling ringed in the UK in the northern summer of 1982 showed up in Melbourne just 3 months later. That is a journey over 22,000 kilometers. Or take Sabine's gull, a small gull that breeds in the Arctic but winters on the open ocean of Western South America and Southwest Africa. So even among gulls that are so adept at following humans, you find species that live at least parts of their lives far away from land. Frigate birds, the pirates of the ocean. That's the image they have at least, and it's at least partly deserved. These long-winged but slender seabirds have the largest wing area to body weight ratio of any bird. In fact, they are more aerial than they are pelagic. They soar the oceans in search for food and typically breed on remote tropical islands in large colonies. Unlike the albatross, which uses winds to stay in the air, frigate birds use thermals to soar, reaching dazzling and freezing heights of up to 4,000 meters. Not as bound to the open ocean as other species we've covered so far, frigate birds are still known to feed up to 500 kilometers from land. Now, why did I call them pirates? They are known kleptoparasites, meaning they steal food from other birds, notably from boobies and terns, whom they chase down with their remarkable speed and agility until the birds give up on their prey. The frigate bird then simply snatches it up from the water. This accounts, however, only for a small part of their diet. Yes, the birds with the funny names. Boobies got their names from being a bit bobo, Spanish slang for stupid, by flying directly onto sailing ships where they were readily caught and eaten. Gannets were a bit luckier as far as naming is concerned. Their names are derived from the Old English gannet, meaning strong or masculine. Their spectacular hunting display makes them a favorite for nature documentaries of the ocean. Both boobies and the closely related gannets hunt fish by diving from great heights, reaching speeds of up to 100 km an hour as they impact with the water. Air sacs on their face and their chests cushion the impact, and they have no external nostrils, which are instead located inside their mouth. I guess you could call them mouth breathers, which of course only adds to the name calling. Once underwater, gannets turn into exceptional divers, pursuing their prey to depths of up to 30 meters. On to the birds with the cool names. Tropic birds. Doesn't this name just evoke images of palm-lined beaches, coconuts and crystal clear waters? Well, in reality, the clear water, yeah. The rest, not so much. These are true pelagic birds. But they are spectacular. They're elegant, yes even graceful birds, with long central tail feathers that stream behind them. Their preferred foods are flying fish and squid, which they catch by plunge diving. But unlike frigate birds, they tend to avoid the madness of mixed species feeding frenzies. They do, however, associate with other surface-feeding predators, to make their lives easier, most notably with dolphins and tuna. Now if you think frigate birds are pirates, meet the skuas. They are powerful seabirds, the size of larger gulls, and they are known for harassing other birds to steal their food. However, they are also fierce and fearless hunters. When other foods are in low supply, great skuas have been sighted to kill herons, and even attack lambs. Aside from their status as the pelagic apex predators, skuas are also great travelers. They spend their lives out at sea, and once the young leaves the nest, they might not visit land again for up to 2 years. Phalaropes, often mispronounced by me as pharaohs. These guys are seriously interesting, and here's why. Much like your local sandpiper, phalaropes are shorebirds, or waders if you prefer. 2 of the 3 species of phalaropes breed around the Arctic Circle and winter on tropical oceans. They're actually pelagic. Their feeding strategy in shallow water is similarly fascinating. They swim around in small circles, creating a sort of whirlpool which raises food from the bottom to the water surface. On the open ocean, where that technique wouldn't really amount to much, phalaropes are often found where the currents meet and produce upwellings. Truly remarkable little fellows. In all 3 species, the role of the genders is quite reversed from what you normally observe in birds. Females are bigger and more brightly colored. They pursue and fight over males, who in turn are responsible for incubation and parenting. When migration starts, females begin their southward migration, leaving the young dads behind. While they're often referred to as the penguins of the Northern Hemisphere, alcids, also known as auks, aren't actually very closely related to penguins. Instead, what's going on here is thought to be an example of convergent evolution, the independent evolution of similar traits. Like penguins, these birds are black and white, they stand upright, and they're excellent divers. Unlike penguins, all auk species, except for the sadly extinct great auk, can fly. Not particularly well, but they can. Instead, they prioritize diving. Especially common murres are excellent divers with depths of up to 180 meters having been recorded. All auks are restricted to cold waters. As studies have shown, an increase in water temperature from 5 to 15 degrees Celsius doubles the speed at which the prey can swim, while the bird gets no such boost to its hunting ability. Auks spend their lives in the cold waters and only return to shore when they are breeding. As with other seabirds, the colonies can be massive. In the colonies of common murres, an incredible spectacle takes place as the young are getting ready to leave the nest. A nest that is unfortunately up to 450 meters above the sea. The young chicks jump towards the ocean, flapping their wings to slow the impact, and land on the water to begin their first journey. And I'm ready to begin mine.
All right. We're on our way to Kabuya yet again. I'm a little bit scared, I have to say. I don't want to look stupid in front of Wilfredo, and I feel that I might, although yesterday's study session, the quiz session, actually helped quite a bit. There was everything there. I mean, this year in January they had Tahiti Petrel. He showed me pictures of Parkinson's petrel, of even Manx Shearwater, which is an Atlantic pelagic bird. You might know it from Europe, actually. The good thing about starting late is the fishermen will already be out and they have radio contact. So we don't waste any time looking for the birds, but we could just go to where they are straight away. I mean, that's pretty neat.
And it was pretty neat. However, I was much too optimistic, thinking I could capture at least some footage from the boat. Most of it came out like this. This was our boat, the Big Tuna, and our Capi Andre took very good care of us. We were served breakfast and snacks, there was plenty of water and even beer on board. And the birds didn't disappoint either. Undisputable highlight of our trip was a Christmas shearwater, that of course I didn't get a very good picture of. But the trip was absolutely worth it. You truly never know what you might find, and I'll definitely go again. Next time, we'll try to be better at filming. Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to tune in again next week for more birding adventures. A public service announcement at the end. This Saturday is October Big Day. So grab those binoculars, head out, open up eBird and start listing. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao.